Have you ever planted sweet potatoes only to dig them up and discover nothing but tiny roots hidden beneath a jungle of lush vines? You're definitely not the only one. This is one of the most frequent disappointments gardeners run into with sweet potatoes. The encouraging part is that it's completely solvable. In this guide, I'll walk you step by step through how to grow sweet potatoes that actually yield large, healthy tubers instead of just endless foliage. We'll cover everything from soil preparation to harvesting at the right moment. Before we dive in, like this video and subscribe to Purely Garden. Let's get into it. Sweet potatoes are one of the most satisfying crops you can raise. They're surprisingly simple once you understand their true needs. And here's the twist: what they require is often the opposite of what most gardeners assume. Once you get this balance right, you'll be pulling tubers the size of your arm. So let's start by looking at why sweet potatoes sometimes produce leaves instead of roots. Here's the secret most people don't realize. The plant doesn't care about tubers. Its main goal is survival and reproduction. When conditions are rich, lots of nitrogen, plenty of water, fertile soil, the plant thinks life is easy. It pours all its energy into vines and leaves. Why store energy underground when everything above ground is thriving? It's only when the plant feels a little stress, specifically low nitrogen and slightly drier soil, that it shifts strategy. That's when it begins packing energy into underground storage roots as a survival plan. Step number 1. Soil preparation. Before a single slip touches the ground, the story of your sweet potato harvest begins with the soil. Think of soil as the stage where the entire drama of growth unfolds. If the stage is cramped, heavy, or poorly lit, the performance will fail. But if the stage is open, airy, and welcoming, the roots will spread, the tubers will swell, and the harvest will be abundant. Sweet potatoes are not like ordinary potatoes. They demand soil that is loose, sandy, and well drained. Heavy clay soils suffocate them, pressing down on their roots and forcing the plant to redirect its energy into leaves. Compacted earth is the enemy of tuber expansion. When roots cannot stretch freely, the plant makes a survival choice. It invests in foliage above ground instead of storage roots below. That's why soil preparation is not optional. It is the single most important step in growing tubers, not leaves. The ideal soil crumbles easily in your hand. It should feel light, almost fluffy, enriched with organic matter but never overloaded with nitrogen. Nitrogen is the nutrient of leafy growth. Too much nitrogen, and your sweet potatoes will behave like spinach, producing endless vines while starving the roots. Instead, aim for balance. Compost, aged manure, or leaf mold add structure and fertility without tipping the scales toward foliage. Raised beds, ridges, or mounds are excellent allies. They elevate the soil, improve drainage, and give roots the depth they crave. Imagine each mound as a cradle, holding the plant gently while allowing its roots to dive deep and expand outward. In poorly drained areas, raised beds are not just helpful, they are essential. Standing water is a death sentence for sweet potatoes, leading to rot and wasted effort. Soil pH matters too. Sweet potatoes prefer slightly acidic to neutral soil, ideally between 5.5 and 6.5. Outside this range, nutrients lock up, and the plant struggles to absorb what it needs. A simple soil test can reveal your starting point. If your soil is too acidic, add lime. If it's too alkaline, incorporate sulfur or organic amendments to bring it back into balance. Preparation is not just about chemistry, it's about structure. Break up clods, remove stones, and loosen the earth to a depth of at least 12 inches. Sweet potatoes are root crops. They need space to swell. Think of it as preparing a bed for a guest. The more comfortable the bed, the better the guest will rest. The more comfortable the soil, the better the tubers will grow. And don't forget rotation. Never plant sweet potatoes in the same soil year after year. Rotate with legumes or cereals to refresh the earth, break pest cycles, and restore balance. Healthy soil is living soil, and living soil produces abundant harvests. So when you think of soil preparation, don't see it as a chore. See it as the foundation of abundance. Every crumb of loosened earth, every handful of compost, every ridge you build is an investment in tubers. Because in the end, the soil decides whether your sweet potato patch will be a jungle of leaves or a treasure chest of roots. Step number 2. Fertilizer strategy. Once your soil is prepared, the next step is feeding your sweet potatoes wisely. Fertilizer is food, and just like people, plants respond differently depending on what they're fed. Give them the wrong diet, and they'll grow in the wrong direction. For sweet potatoes, the wrong diet means lush vines above ground and disappointing roots below. Here's the truth. Nitrogen is the enemy of tuber yield. Nitrogen fuels leafy growth. It makes plants look vibrant, green, and strong, but it tricks sweet potatoes into thinking they should behave like spinach or lettuce. The result? A jungle of vines sprawling across your garden, shading everything in sight, while beneath the soil, the tubers remain small, underdeveloped, or absent altogether. What sweet potatoes crave instead is phosphorus and potassium. Phosphorus is the architect of roots. It drives the plant to expand downward, building strong, healthy tubers. Potassium is the builder of quality. It strengthens the plant's overall structure, improves disease resistance, and ensures the tubers are firm, flavorful, and nutrient-rich. Together, phosphorus and potassium are the twin engines of tuber production. So what does this mean for your fertilizer choice? Skip the high nitrogen blends. Avoid the temptation of all-purpose fertilizers that promise balanced growth. Balanced growth is not what you want. You want root-focused growth. Look for ratios like May 10th 10 or April 8th 12. These numbers tell you the percentage of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Notice how nitrogen is kept low, while phosphorus and potassium are higher. That's the formula for tubers, not leaves. Application matters too. Sweet potatoes are efficient feeders. They don't need heavy doses of fertilizer. Over-fertilization is just as harmful as the wrong blend. Too much fertilizer, even the right kind, can overwhelm the plant, leading to excessive foliage or even root deformities. Think of fertilizer as seasoning, not the main course. A little goes a long way. Timing is critical. Apply fertilizer when slips are planted, mixing it into the soil so nutrients are available right from the start. Then, give a light side dressing about 6 weeks later, just as the vines begin to spread. This second feeding supports the transition from establishing roots to expanding tubers. Beyond that, resist the urge to keep feeding. The plant knows what to do if you've set the stage correctly. Organic options are excellent too. Bone meal is rich in phosphorus. Wood ash provides potassium. Compost adds structure and slow-release nutrients without overwhelming the plant. These natural amendments not only feed your sweet potatoes, but also improve soil health, ensuring long-term fertility. Remember, fertilizer is not about making your plants look good above ground. It's about directing energy below ground. Every handful of phosphorus and potassium is an investment in tubers. Every restraint in nitrogen is a safeguard against wasted energy. So when you stand in your garden, fertilizer bag in hand, ask yourself, am I feeding leaves, or am I feeding roots? The answer will decide whether your harvest is a disappointment or a triumph. Step number 3. Spacing and planting depth. Once your soil is prepared, and your fertilizer strategy is set, the next decision you make, how far apart to plant and how deep to bury your slips, will determine whether your sweet potatoes thrive underground or struggle above it. Sweet potatoes are root crops, and roots need space. If you crowd them, they fight for territory. When roots compete, the plant shifts its energy into leaves, trying to outgrow its neighbors above ground. The result? A lush canopy of vines, but meager tubers beneath the soil. Spacing is not just about order, it's about directing energy where it matters. The golden rule is simple: give each plant room to breathe. Place slips 12 to 18 inches apart within the row. This spacing ensures that each plant has its own underground zone to expand freely. Between rows, leave about 3 feet. That extra distance prevents overcrowding, allows sunlight to reach every vine, and makes it easier for you to manage the crop. Think of it as giving each plant its own personal garden bed. Depth matters just as much as distance. Sweet potatoes are grown from slips, not seeds. Each slip has nodes, the points along the stem, where roots can form. If you plant slips too shallow, only a few nodes touch the soil, and the plant focuses on leaves. But if you bury slips deep enough, several nodes are underground, and each one becomes a potential tuber factory. The deeper the slip, the more opportunities for roots to swell into sweet potatoes. Aim to plant slips so at least 3 to 4 nodes are beneath the soil. Firm the soil gently around them, ensuring good contact without compacting it. Loose soil encourages roots to spread, compacted soil suffocates them. Spacing and depth also influence airflow and disease prevention. Crowded plants trap humidity, creating a breeding ground for fungal infections. Proper spacing keeps air moving, reducing disease risk and keeping vines healthier. Healthy vines mean more energy available for tubers. Think of spacing and depth as choreography. Each plant has its place, each slip has its role, and together they perform a dance of growth. When the spacing is right and the depth is sufficient, the performance ends with a harvest of abundant tubers. When spacing is wrong or depth is shallow, the dance collapses into a tangle of leaves. So when you plant your slips, don't rush, measure the distance. Bury them deep, give them room. Because every inch of space and every buried node is an investment in roots, not foliage. And when harvest day comes, you'll see the payoff in baskets overflowing with sweet potatoes. Step number 4. Water management. Water is life, but for sweet potatoes, it's all about balance. Too little water, and roots struggle to form. Too much, and they rot before tubers can develop. The goal isn't flooding or starving your plants. It's giving them exactly what they need, when they need it. Sweet potatoes are naturally drought-tolerant, but thriving requires consistency, especially in the first 6 weeks after planting. This is the establishment phase, when roots are forming and slips are settling in. Keep the soil evenly moist, like a wrung-out sponge. Not soggy, not dry, just steady. Once the vines begin to spread, your watering strategy should change. At this stage, heavy watering encourages leaf growth instead of tuber development. The plant focuses on vines because it senses abundance above ground. Here's the secret. A little stress helps. Reducing water after establishment signals the plant to store energy underground. That stored energy becomes your sweet potatoes, but balance matters. Too much stress shuts the plant down. Too little keeps it wasting energy on leaves. Use your soil as a guide. If the top inch is dry, water. If it's still moist, wait. Drainage is just as important as watering. Sweet potatoes hate standing water. Raised beds, ridges, or sandy soil allow excess moisture to escape while keeping roots healthy. Mulch helps too. Straw, grass clippings, or compost retain moisture, reduce evaporation, and protect the soil from harsh sun, meaning less watering and more stability. Think of water as communication. Early on you're saying grow strong. Later you're saying store energy, and when harvest comes, the plant answers with plump, sweet, abundant tubers. Water doesn't just keep plants alive, it guides their choices. Step number 5. Growing season care. Once your sweet potato slips are in the ground, and the season begins, the real work is not in constant intervention, but in careful guidance. The growing season is a rhythm of observation, adjustment, and trust. Sweet potatoes are resilient, but they respond dramatically to the care you provide. Every choice you make during these months determines whether the energy flows into vines or into the roots that will one day fill your baskets. In the early weeks, weeds spring up quickly, competing for water, nutrients, and sunlight. Clearing them regularly gives your sweet potatoes the freedom to establish themselves. At the same time, water must be steady and reliable. Roots are fragile, slips are settling in, and they need consistent moisture to anchor themselves. The soil should feel moist but never soggy. Too much water suffocates roots, too little halts growth. As the vines begin to spread, the rhythm changes. The plant has enough foliage to capture sunlight, enough roots to support itself, and now it must be nudged toward storage. This is where moderation becomes your ally. Reduce watering slightly, allowing the soil to dry a little between sessions. That gentle stress signals the plant to store energy underground. Mulch becomes a silent partner here, conserving moisture, regulating soil temperature, and suppressing weeds. It also discourages vines from rooting at distant nodes, keeping energy concentrated in the central root zone. Throughout the season, vines must be guided. Left unchecked, they sprawl across the garden, rooting wherever they touch, creating satellite plants that siphon energy away from the main tubers. Training them back toward the central stem keeps the plant focused. Light pruning of excessive growth is fine, but remember that leaves are the solar panels driving photosynthesis. Remove too many, and you starve the plant. The goal is not to eliminate vines but to manage them, shaping their energy toward roots. Growing season care is about balance, steady water, controlled vines, protected soil, and patient observation. Every act of care is a step toward abundance, every adjustment a nudge that directs energy underground. Step number 6. Harvesting. Harvesting is the culmination of months of patience, and it demands gentleness. Sweet potatoes take 90 to 120 days to mature, depending on variety and climate. Above ground, the vines may look lush and vigorous, tempting you to dig early, but beneath the soil, tubers are still forming. Harvest too soon, and you'll find small, underdeveloped roots. Wait too long, and tubers become tough and fibrous. The balance lies in listening to the plant. When vines begin to yellow and die back, that is the signal. The roots are ready. The act of harvesting must be careful. Use a fork or spade to loosen the soil, lifting tubers patiently to avoid bruising or breaking the skin. Begin at the edge of the mound, working inward, uncovering each tuber as if it were treasure, because it is. But the harvest is not complete until the curing is done. Freshly dug sweet potatoes are starchy and vulnerable. Place them in a warm, humid environment for a week to 10 days. In that time, the skin toughens, minor wounds heal, and starches transform into sugars. The flavor deepens, the texture improves, and the tubers become ready for storage. After curing, keep them in a cool, dry, dark place. Properly stored, they will last for months, carrying the rewards of your patience well into the future. Harvesting is more than digging. It is the proof of patience, the reward of care, the unveiling of abundance. Every tuber, lifted from the soil, is a reminder that growth above ground may look impressive, but the real treasure lies beneath. There you have it, the steps to growing sweet potatoes that reward you with real harvests, not just endless vines. Now tell me in the comments, have you ever had lots of leaves but tiny tubers? And what are you planting next in your garden? If this guide helped you grow smarter, like this video, share and subscribe to Purely Garden for more simple, powerful gardening wisdom. Thank you for watching.